9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
Say his name and he appears. I believe it said.
What's up, good people? Happy Monday. It's the 1st of December. That means Christmas is just a brief 24 days away. And if you hear the sound of my voice over your airwaves on your stream, it is the mayor, and it's Monday. That means it's time to recap Monday Night Raw. Very, very good weekend of wrestling. And this was a very good Monday Night Raw. I'm going to let you guys fill in the chat. Sorry, I missed you guys earlier on WWT Live. I just got done with work right now. Work, Monday Night Football. You know my Mondays get pretty busy. But I did watch Raw, and I'm actually very thrilled with the episode we had. Way better episode than we've been having the past couple weeks. And now, as we are gearing up for WrestleMania season, things are starting to get a little bit clearer. However you felt about War Games, the mayor was actually in the building. It was a really packed out show. I'm not a fan of the stadium shows, but the setup was nice. The setup was nice. They did a good job. However you felt about the War Games matches and if they should continue, I'll share my thoughts about those later this week. You guys came here for Monday Night Raw, but it felt good to see John's final PLE live. I will say that. But the aftermath of War Games, which had the Vision defeat our heroes, as well as the heels lose the hero women on the women's War Games match. Kind of predictable outcomes, but we got the shakeup tonight. We actually started tonight with a promo from Rhea Ripley, and Io Sky coming out talking about their War Games victory and then what's next for them, and pretty much proclaiming that the beef with the Kabuki Warriors isn't done because the Kabukis broke Io's heart by kicking them out of the trio, which is, I guess, we're going to do more of this because it's better to have them away from Stephanie than in Stephanie's orbit right now. But I will say that Io Sky, Stephanie Vaquer, whatever best of three, whatever you got to do, this is what needs to be done because we need an actual winner in that match eventually. So hopefully that's what we're gearing up for Mania. But for now, it seems like Rhea and Io want to go after the tag titles. They were met by two of their partners in ring from War Games, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, who are our former tag team champions, saying, not so fast. We're actually former champions. You guys have never done this before. You guys need to get to the back of the line. Little war of words there. That is now our official main event of Monday Night Raw tonight, made official by our GM, Adam Pearce. Backstage, the promo wasn't bad compared to how we started off Monday Night Raw the past couple weeks. Felt like we could have hit a little bit harder. They were in Glendale at the Desert Diamond Arena. Shout out to state of Arizona, second home for me. So beautiful arena, by the way. I felt like we could have got more clarity as far as which women want to go for like Stephanie, especially after Stephanie finally took out Nikki Bella this past weekend and she's moving on. Like, I don't think there's any clarity for her division, which has been kind of a Achilles heel for the women who have titles. See Julia, see Tiffany Stratton circling around the same people in her title reign. Now look at Jade. Does Jade have a true opposite to face her right now? And it seems like Stephanie's going to deal with the same thing. But at least the women's tag team division is heating up. At least the men's tag team division is heating up. A lot of people have been clamoring for more tag team action, and that certainly is what was delivered tonight. And like I said, our main event was Rio versus Char Bliss in the main event of Monday Night Raw. Backstage, we saw Paul Heyman and the Vision talking to Adam Pearce about their victory, but not so much their victory at War Games. What's next for the Vision? And that's going to be Braun Breaker versus CM Punk, because CM Punk was pinned by Braun Breaker to complete the War Games match. I thought that was dope. Braun Breaker absolutely showed out in War Games this weekend, and he should be next in line for a championship push. I think we've just been waiting since his time holding the IC belt to really make sure he was ready, but also, I guess who. And I think what we heard from him later on in the episode was foretelling for sure. But Braun is ready, and it's time to strap that man sooner rather than later. We kick off our first action tonight with the Last Time Is Now tournament semifinals. First up, Jey Uso versus LA Knight. Kind of a 50-50 match dating back to their brief rivalry a couple months ago. And the match itself, there were some slippage here, but both athletes played to the crowd the right way. The finish of the match could have been a lot better. I know Knight slipped on the ring on his superplex. Jay's spear, he has to like sell it a little bit better. It's getting worse by the week. But the finish was just a rollout to get Jay out of here. After Jay did hit his Uso splash, and even the roll up it seemed like it missed a little bit. I mean, but LA Knight is your victor in that match, and he's going on to the finals. Kind of interesting. That's where we got here. I mean, both not necessarily getting like younger stars like Cena wanted for Saturday Night Main Event, but stars who are kind of like just right there. I don't mind Jay being in the semifinals. He started the year in the bottom two of the Royal Rumble with John Cena. But this match itself to me could have been way better. And even after the match, even more of all types of awkward with Jay pretty much throwing a temper tantrum. I'm always here for people kicking over the prime sign. But throwing a temper tantrum, being angry, if I can cue up the councilman right now with the seems like that's the Jay we about to get again. About to get voices in my head, Jay. I don't know. And then even his promo after the fact, we saw his promo with Jackie Redmond later at night. Seems like he's just in a series of doubting himself. Took the L at War Games, took the L tonight. He's not going to face John Cena. I don't think he would need that. He's kind of over right now. But him telling Jackie he don't care about no vision, he don't care about nobody else in his head, and that even Roman said the titles would look better on him. So he's going to be in this character arc of self-doubt, and I honestly don't know what that means for Jay going forward. But LA Knight, one step away from punching his ticket to being John Cena's final match, which I don't think any of us knew, or I don't think anybody could foreshadow that LA Knight would be in the finals of this tournament. I think a lot of people had other people in the finals. Ryan is saying WWE is dragging out the masked man identity. Like who took out Jacob Fatu? Well, I think they said Jacob should be back really soon. The masked man identity, Paul Heyman saying he's not guilty. He doesn't know who it was. And if you look at Braun Breaker's promo tonight, he still had some harsh words for Seth Rollins in that promo. So you can rule that out. And maybe it's just somebody that wants to join the Vision. That's the mindset that I'm going to take into that storyline whenever we get it, is that it's somebody that is eager to join the Vision because they want the tutelage of Paul Heyman, whoever it may be. People online are speculating about who that is. I'm not going to get into this or that here. I think it's going to be somebody that is trying to get recruited by the Vision. It's going to have to earn their keep. Next up, we saw backstage Asuka pretty much berating Bayley for not joining the War Games team, saying they would have won if they had Bayley, and Bayley calling them an idiot. We did see Bayley and Lyra lobbying for a tag team title shot against Kabuki Warriors, to where Adam Pearce said, hey, you guys are on the top of my mind. Just give me a second and trust me. Bayley and Asuka's war words is like very weird, because I don't know why Asuka would still want anything to do with Bayley when they shoved her out of Damage Control. It's just weird. Asuka's promos to me they're kind of, I feel like the Kyrie thing is over. I think I need Asuka to just be mean again. We don't need to hear her have these laughing, talking promos as much. It kind of takes away from her character. It makes it more cartoonish to me. I want to get back to the Empress just being the person that nobody don't want to see when she's pissed off. So either way, Seems like the orbit is going around the tag team championships right now in the women's division. And that could be a good thing to boost that for now. Maybe we see one of those matches on Saturday night's main event as well. We had I'm just going to call it, they're calling it a Dominic Mysterio promo, but it was a Judgment Day promo. Dom pretty much talking about how he defeated John Cena for the Intercontinental Championship at War Games in his hometown, by the way. That's not a big deal. John putting over Dom in that match, but also putting over the entire Judgment Day should not be overlooked. Shouldn't be overlooked at all. John taking not only Pop Rocks, but the Chingona Bomb, working JD and Finn in that match as well. It kind of foreshadows what we saw throughout tonight, that Judgment Day ain't going nowhere. Judgment Day is as strong as ever. And Dom actually had nice things to say about Judgment Day. When you think that the Judgment Day is going to split, they're back. They're back and they're in the fold of things. And Liv Morgan apparently is the glue that's keeping Judgment Day together. She did slap Dom again in this promo before their little makeout sesh because maybe he likes that. But Dom is the one keeping Judgment Day together with all the gold. And with Liv Morgan back in the fold, it seems like she's hell-bent on making Judgment Day be the dominant faction on Monday Night Raw. One thing I will say about this, there was a Rey Mysterio promo later in the evening where he said he wouldn't rule out having his eyes on the IC title just because his bastard son has it. And he was approached by Logan Paul, who Logan said the IC title belongs to the Vision. Did you hear what I said earlier? And they had their little war words. Logan said he's going to retire Rey. Rey strikes Logan. I'm very interested to see if there's going to be a tug of war towards like the dominant faction on Monday Night Raw between the Vision and the Judgment Day. I think they can do a lot of good having your traditional heels fight it out for Monday Night Raw dominance than what we were doing in the past with like Judgment Day versus LWO ad nauseum. I would love to see the Vision, who has our stars of tomorrow, versus the Judgment Day with probably our biggest star of tomorrow, which is Dom. I hope that's where we're headed when we talk about the next challengers for Dominic Mysterio. But all in all, Morgan's back, and she's saying the Judgment Day is back in that same breath. But the promo, where this was on the card for Monday Night Raw, it just felt like there was something missing. Like I wanted it to be an exclamation point, but it felt like a question mark the way that ended. Like there was something else that was supposed to happen in that promo. But I think by the end of the night, we saw exactly what they meant. Phenomenally, the tag team champions took on the New Day, and New Day finally got their tag team title shot. And this is really like 1A, 1B for match of the night, if you ask me. People wanted tag team wrestling. God damn it, you got it. This was a great tag team match. The New Day still showing innovation with their moveset with Woods and Kofi all this time. And Lee and Styles are actually a very fun tag team. I wasn't really here for it because I want AJ Styles to get a legit retirement run. But what they've been pulling off in ring has been like nothing short of beautiful when you talk about tag team wrestling. And it's also given Dragon Lee kind of that cross promotion by just being next to AJ Styles, adding more legitimacy to him as a single star when the time comes. But I'm happy that the titles are being defended. We know they only got defended twice under that most recent Judgment Day reign, but that finish in this match, oh my God. The stomp to the back and Kofi pretty much springboarding off the rope into a Styles clash. Like, I ain't seen nothing like that. That is almost like the moment that was like the moment in the Royal Rumble when Ricochet and Logan Paul went opposite the rings at the Dragon Ball Z joint. That's like the pop I let out when that happened. Because I'm like, oh my God, Kofi whole body bounced in the air into a Styles clash. Like, what the hell? What the hell was that? But great stuff. Phenomenally retains, and then we know that they're now going to defend next week against the Viking Raiders. Sorry, we're not calling them Viking Raiders anymore, against the War Raiders. So back-to-back weeks of tag team title defenses. I'm pretty sure the women will be defending really soon. Something that was interesting to happen after that, we saw Maxine Dupree, your new women's IC champion, training in the dungeon. And training in the dungeon with Natty. And I think this is one of the first times they've really portrayed Natty in that fashion. And put them in that fashion, put her in that fashion to showcase her as the low-key legend. Which I don't think we've seen on programming. We've been seeing it here and there, time and time again, but not too much on main roster program. I think we've seen it in AAA. We've seen it, I believe, in TNA, but we haven't seen it like on Raw or SmackDown or anything like that. So Maxine's training being emphasized is something that we could see going forward to help further legitimize her title reign. One thing we saw with Pierce tonight is that Ivy now says, hey, I want my title shot because I know Maxine can't beat me. So that's probably her first challenger. Ivy now don't know where the creeds are with the rest of American Made, but that's a match I'm interested to see. Ivy now has been very good in this division. I think eventually she will be a champion, but this will be the first monster that Maxine has to conquer, and you see that she's not giving up. So the stuff we see about how hardworking she is, her training at the dungeon and the ring with Natty, we're bringing that to life in vignettes, and I'm here for it. And I think it's going to lead to not only Natty being in her corner, but possibly the low-key legend being her heavy in a sense. So if that's the way we can bring that version of Natty to WWE TV, great call. Great call. And I think it also adds layers to show that Maxine is hardworking and not just a placeholder or a trophy champion. So I'm here for it. I mentioned earlier that we have all this tag team turmoil with the women's division. Everybody's gunning for the tag titles. It seems like nobody is checking for Steph, who is our champion. She was talking about her victory over Nikki Bella over the weekend, and she was approached by Liv Morgan, who looked at her up and down and said, just wanted to see that thing up close again. And it looks like Liv, who's probably the one woman who's had so many tag team title reigns, is not looking at that. She's looking at the Women's World Championship. So I am actually here for that. That will give Steph, I guess, another legitimate champion to go against. So I don't know if they'll tee this up right now or if we're going to look towards I think the Royal Rumble is in February now. We might be looking towards February because Morgan just got back. Maybe there's a number one contendership to get Morgan there, but Stephanie versus Liv Morgan could be fun in the early part of 2026. Nah, Bozo, I don't think they will. I don't think they'll take the belt off La Primera so early, but I think you do have to have more women be in line, legitimate challengers. I thought Lyra would get a shot by now. But I mean, I guess you just want to do your traditional heels, which is why you had to turn Nikki. But Liv makes perfect sense. And I just hope that before Liv, maybe we get Raquel a title shot, maybe get Rox a title shot, and then Liv be the heavy and the Judgment Day that finally gets that big rivalry that we can really build upon going towards WrestleMania season. Next up, the Vision came out pretty much to cut a promo about their victory over everybody at War Games, which really ended up being a Star is Born moment for Bron Breakker. And oh my God, we know Bron Breakker has been getting more comfortable in ring over the past few years, and has built comfort on the mic. But this was a nuke. This was a nuke, if anything. This was, hey, we're going to throw the script away of what we had, and I'm declaring that I'm the next champion, and ain't shit CM Punk can do about it. Him even throwing in the bar about Punk approaching him last week or last year at Mania and saying, maybe good job out there tonight, kid. Maybe you'll be able to cut a promo in the big leagues. And him recanting that live television on Netflix, that just adds fuel to the fire that he's been stewing about CM Punk for so long, and that he doesn't believe that Punk is the best in the world. I like that Braun is mad. Braun was the A-plus player in the War Games match on Saturday night, and it seems like if that's the direction we're going, if it was me, I would have Braun gunning for Cody. Rhodes versus Steiner. I want to do that all day. But if we start with CM Punk, I like it. I like it. Because if you're the best in the world, I want to be the best in the world. And I'm coming for that title. And it also established Braun Breaker as the de facto leader of the division because he stepped up and commanded control of the ring away from Paul Heyman, away from Logan Paul, away from Bronson Reed, and called his shot. That was a fun promo, and I'm very excited to see what they do with Braun Breaker going forward. He sounded like an absolute madman. And just to like leave the ring while everybody else was still there, applauding him on his way out, like I felt like that was genuine. I don't think that was these guys in character. I think they were like, oh shit, you nailed it. And they were clapping him on his way out. So Braun Punk, January 5th, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Boza saying you don't think Braun wins at January 5th. Maybe the masked man is revealed. Maybe Braun and Punk too at the Rumble. If that doesn't happen, I mean, I can see Braun also doing double duty at the Rumble, maybe dropping in that match and then winning the Rumble, calling a shot against Cody. I don't know what's going to happen. People are already like up in arms over War Games saying like, hey, like feels like we're going to get obviously Braun and Punk because he pinned Punk, but also Roman looking up and down at Cody. I've been saying it's going to be Roman Cody 3 for a while now, but they might swerve us. They might swerve us. There's so many things that can happen between now and April of next year, but we'll have to see for sure. We'll have to see. Very close in my rankings here, but the next match was the next semifinal of the Last Time Is Now tournament between Solo Sikoa and Gunther. Solo advanced because Penta couldn't continue the match after sustaining a shoulder injury. And I think this is the curveball that was beautiful, if I'm being honest. If I look through the past few years since Solo was street champion, Solo NXT, this is his creme de la creme. This is his match. This is the match that defines who Solo is when you actually let him work. This is the best match I've seen Solo have. And it took having your traditional heels with no game plan, no like, hey, who's going to play to the crowd? It's like, hey, I'm trying to out-cheat the other person, and I'm going to hit you hard. This was a hard-hitting match, and if you didn't see this match, I'm calling it now. When we do our end-of-the-year show, and we look at the matches of the year, this is going to be one of the nominees. This was a phenomenal match. Like just seeing Gunther taking out the thumb for the spike of Solo, seeing Solo hard hit with Gunther and be able to take the chops, but also get back up. Like this was great, a great 50-50 match. Like going in, I didn't know, obviously Gunther's a favorite, but it made me believe throughout that, hey, we might tee up Solo. Because to me, in the Final Four, Solo's the youngest superstar. Why not go with Solo? Because he has history with John Cena. But man, the way we finished the match with Gunther low blowing Talo on the outside and just saying, fuck it, I'm a low blow Solo because he's trying to cheat. I'm gonna cheat first, power bomb, and we out of here. But it were so many close calls where I thought Solo had it, and I think that's the beauty of that matchup. And it's like I want to see it again. Solo's over on SmackDown doing things. They'll have the Wyatt Six at some point with the MFTs, but that's a match you can really call up on at any time. Think of when you had Ilya and when he was still Walter in NXT UK. That's what that felt like as far as hard hitting. And I feel like if these guys are not going to be in each other's orbit, if you do a live show or have a PLE, brand supremacy, whatever you can do, I want to see that again. I want to see these two fight again, and I want their characters to be completely where they are now. I don't need one to be a baby face and the other be a heel. I want to see these two guys that won a prize and fight it out. If it's King of the Ring, who cares? They got to do that again. But damn, that was a good match. And that was my match of the night. That was probably, to me, that was better than any match that was on War Games. Any match that was on War Games, Gunther and Solo. And I think that's the beauty of having to pivot from plans and just kind of stick the landing. WWE stuck the landing here because that match made a lot of fans become, I guess, sympathetic towards Gunther in the match, where he was getting cheers for certain things he was doing, the rapid fire chops in the corner, but also just him getting the edge and hitting that low blow first to get Solo out of here. It made me at least, and it felt like some of the fans in attendance, from what I heard, kind of, you know what, I can get along with this whole idea of Gunther retiring Cena now. I can get with it. The ring general, probably the best pure wrestler in the company. It just seems like it hit right with that performance. Now, where we go from here in the finals on Friday with LA Knight and Gunther on SmackDown, I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know how Knight and Gunther are going to play off of each other. Obviously, Knight's going to play to the crowd. There should be some close falls, but it's a true 50-50 ball. I think Gunther's been the favorite since entering the tournament, but if Knight goes over, I think a lot of fans will be happy to see Knight get some type of crowning moment after all the start and stops with him being or getting close to being a world champion and not really getting there. I think I don't think Gunther needs the accolade of retiring John Cena, but and whatever LA Knight's career is going forward, that can be a very great feather in the cap for his character and kind of ordain him as having next up. Like, regardless of like previous careers, age, timeline, things like that, this is like an accolade that Knight can really have, whether he's babyface or heel going forward. It was like, hey, like, I retired the greatest of all time. It's time to crown me now. And I think that's what people are going to be looking forward to. Gunther's already been at the top of the mountain. We know Gunther ain't nothing to play with. There's no issue with Gunther retiring John Cena, but if I had to put my money on it, I would say LA Knight needs it a lot more at this stage of his career than Gunther does. Gunther can call his shot against Cody tomorrow and play off the King of the Ring finals and be like, hey, I'm coming for that title now. And nobody would bat an eye. So, but Knight needed this. He needed that finals win. Solo needed that match with Gunther to reestablish him as possibly the best wrestler in the bloodline. I think people will start talking about that now. And now we have a finals towards December 13th, and the last time is now tournament. With tag team action in the final match of Monday Night Raw, Rio versus Char Bliss. And this was seemingly going to be number one contendership. And I think, to me, I felt like Char Bliss had more chemistry with some of their offense. We saw some back and forth with Charlotte and Rhea, which teased up their WrestleMania match from a few years ago in LA. I thought the match was fine, and it's everything you love about tag team wrestling with both of these stars. Sorry, all four of these stars. But I felt like we weren't going to get a definitive finish, and I'm kind of glad we didn't. I don't think we needed to have number one contenders like right now. Having a depth of talent that are vying for the titles makes the titles feel relevant again. And I think that's what we accomplished tonight, because the finish was something I did not expect. The Kabuki Warriors came out and pretty much took out all the women in the ring, and they were doing their thing. They got met by Bayley and Lyra, who they had the moment with backstage, because Bayley and Lyra want their shot at the titles. But what happened next, I didn't expect at all. And it made me remove the sour taste in my mouth that I had from the Judgment Day promo earlier in the evening. And that was Judgment Day women is coming out and cleaning house and staking their claim to running the entire division. Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Roxanne Perez came through and not only took out Bayley and Lyra, they took out the Kabuki Warriors, made work of Char Bliss and Rio while they were in there as well, what was left of them. And they stood tall to end the show with the titles in hand, which made a lot of sense what Morgan was saying earlier tonight. Like, hey, I'm hearing Judgment Day ain't been on top lately. That changes now that I'm back. And the subtlety of the moment with Roxanne handing the tag team titles to Liv, reminiscent of Liv and Raquel never losing the titles and saying like, hey, you guys are the team. I'm about you, OG. But then Liv handing that title back to Roxanne saying like, no, y'all got this. This is y'all. I'm here to prop y'all up. And it seems like Liv's going to be going for Stephanie to bring titles back to the Judgment Day. Bravo. great way to close the show. I think that'll actually, I hope they don't do this. I can see them doing this, but we might get like some type of 5-on-5 match in the next couple of weeks with the Judgment Day and the Kabukis taking on some semblance of like Rio, Charbliss, and Lyra and Bailey, something like that. I can see something like that happening in the next week or so, just to like have a match with all these ladies. But Judgment Day standing on top to end the show. It's not a bad thing for once. It shows that there's investment in this iteration of Judgment Day, especially with the whole Liv Dom stuff, but also that maybe they don't need to break up. Maybe we don't need to do dissension between JD, Finn versus Dom. We don't have to do that yet. We can tell a story with them getting gold again. Hopefully Finn and JD are far away from any type of tag team titles again. We don't need to do that again, even if they compete for it. But it just shows that there's some variance in the women's division, which is needed. When you have all these women wanting to fight for the tag titles, it brings relevance to the belts, and then it allows Maxine Dupree to do her thing against other like underrepresented talent like Ivy Nile, or there's so many others who can vie for a title shot. Like Mi Ching can come over and ask for a title shot from SmackDown. I hope we get more of that in the meantime, and then hopefully Stephanie starts with Liv and then gets more challengers that she deserves in this title run, because she's so badass. So badass. That match against Nikki was really good on both parts, and I'm happy they got to be in the co-main spot as well. But yeah, that's been Monday Night Raw, y'all. I'm glad I was able to rock with y'all. I'm glad y'all stayed in the chat, kept me busy, but I wanted to talk about Monday Night Raw, especially from being in the building at War Games at Petco Park. I feel like we're getting back on course here. Obviously, CM Punk wasn't there tonight. Becky Lynch wasn't there tonight, so we'll see more of that going forward with Becky and her beef with Jessica Carr, Adam Pearce, and then maybe even coming back from Maxine Dupree. Her and AJ still got some stuff to work out since Becky tapped. CM Punk's going to still have his issues with Braun Breaker and the rest of the division, but now it seems like the goal for the division is to dominate all titles. So you might see Bronson Reed and Logan Paul going for the tag belts, or like Logan said, he was going for the IC belt, but they're going to have to deal and contend with the Judgment Day. So I hope that those things meet heads and that we get Judgment Day versus the Vision for supremacy. And if we get the Masked Man, if we get that, matter of fact, I hope we don't get that. I hope that's just like a mystery until like the next PLE. Because we got some time before our next PLE. Hopefully that's just like a back pocket thing, so we can kind of think that it's Seth, even though there's no way it's Seth Rollins. And if it's Austin Theory, if it's like somebody else, like Buddy Murphy, whoever it is, I hope that it's somebody that is vying for an opportunity to join the Vision that needs it, that can really benefit from being under the Paul Heyman tutelage until it's their time. One interesting theory I heard that would make sense: people that hate CM Punk, if it's not Seth Rollins, who's been CM Punk's biggest op, I think it would make a lot of sense that I read if it's Ethan Page. Ethan Page would make a lot of sense. Ethan Page and CM Punk have history down at NXT. Was it costed the NXT title? I think that can make a lot of sense, especially since Chelsea's been doing double duty between NXT, triple duty actually, between NXT, AAA, and SmackDown. Why can't Ethan do the same and help introduce him to the main roster where he deserves to be at this time? But until Wednesday, y'all, appreciate y'all rocking with me. This has been the Monday Nightmare post show. We're going to be back Wednesday for more news, reviews of everything from NXT. Of course, CEO Wednesdays, we'll be reviewing that. I do have some thoughts on Mercedes. I do have an article cooking up for y'all. I'm in a little state of grieving with that because she dropped the big one again, but I want to make sure I button it up and tie it up to the entirety of this title reign. So we're going to rock with y'all on Wednesday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern for WWT Live. Until then, appreciate y'all walking with me on the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet, WWT. I'm your mayor. Peace, y'all.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WW Talk Pod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.